You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey, GH fans, Belinda from Soap Dirt, and I just got to talk to you about the most recent episodes where we have Carly being Carly. You know, butting in where she's not invited because she thinks she knows the best way to help people that she loves. To be fair, it's always done with the best of intentions. I want to be very clear on that. But at the same time, it almost never works out. Usually she ends up screwing things up worse than they were before. And we are right back in one of those situations right now where she's about to sacrifice this tentative freedom that Jason Morgan has finally achieved after 2.5 years under the thumb and in captivity and away from Port Charles. Let's dive into this mess, but please subscribe if you haven't. So I just want to bring all this back around to the most recent situation where Carly Spencer wound up causing trouble. And that was the situation where Drew Cain was sent to prison. I will admit this, absolutely Drew's choice to be the one to go to prison. He could have let Carly take the fall for the insider trading, but that's what makes it kind of a perfect comparison to this current Jason situation with the FBI. If you recall, Drew told Carly he and Michael wanted to do an ELQ Aurora merger and use that to leverage Ned Quartermaine out of their way. So really, there wasn't a need for the merger, not really a business need. They were doing it as a power play to screw over Ned. Carly then heard about it and decided, yeah, I can help. So she sold off her half the Metrocourt without consulting Olivia Falconeri Quartermaine, by the way, and she used that money to buy stock to try and drive up the price when the merger did come. That is, just by the way, the very definition of insider trading. And the thing is, Drew and Michael didn't need her help. They had it completely under control. What's more, they told her, don't get involved. But she pressed on and then wound up in trouble and dragged other people into trouble. And yes, Nina Reeves 100% should not have called the cops on them. She was being 100% petty when she did it. But also remember, Ned Quartermaine actually thought about reporting Drew. He even threatened it, if I remember correctly, and that was why people thought he did it for so long. And if Drew and Michael's plan had worked out, they had merged the companies and kicked Ned to the curb, I'm pretty sure that he would have called the SEC on them, or his vengeful mama, Tracy Quartermaine, would have done it. Remember, Tracy actually hoped that Ned was the one to report them. She was practically giddy because it would have been such a Quartermaine move. So it could have happened either way if the merger had happened. Either way, Carly was facing jail time or avoiding jail by flipping on Sonny, which she wasn't going to do. So Drew chose to do the time for both their crimes. And Nina, of course, lost her husband, and that seems completely done. And now she's boinking Drew in the office, and he and Carly called it quits. So everything has evolved, and that brings us back to today. Jason decided to keep Carly in the dark, that she is the reason the FBI have their clutches into him. This week, we got some more specifics. We've all known for a month or so that FBI agent John Cates told Jason they had Carly dead to rights on RICO violations. That's kind of the blanket charge for organized crime offensive. That was back when Sonny was in Nixon Falls making goo-goo eyes with Nina when he thought he was Mike. She and Jason took over the Corinthos organization to protect everybody because when there's a weakness, other organizations can pounce, put Carly's life, her kids' lives at risk, Jason's life. Everybody would have been at risk. So that's when she said that she was taking over the family. That's the recording the FBI has. At the same time, I don't think it's fair to say that Carly is completely innocent of the mob stuff. I mean, she made deliberate choices over the years, time and time again, to be in bed with a mobster, to marry a mobster, to have a mobster's children, knowing all the risks. So she wasn't out doing mob business before, but she's been neck deep in it nonetheless for decades, of her own volition, of her own choices and making. Bottom line, it's all a mess. And then Carly hung around to eavesdrop, and she heard Cates and Jason talking about pikemen. And then, insanely, Carly decided, it'd be a really great idea for me to go to Pentonville and meet with the former head of the WSB to ask him about pikemen. And even worse, Carly actually gave Brennan a bunch of helpful information that he did not have before. So basically, Carly went to the prison trying to help Jason, again, with the absolute best of intentions to protect someone she loves, but without the correct information, without complete information, and without knowing what depths she was wading into. This is yet another case, like we've seen over and over throughout her character history, that she is unintentionally and with love making things so much worse than better. So bad, in fact, she might get Jason either sent to federal prison or killed. Not long after Carly sat down with Jack Brennan in the prison visitor's room, she asked about him running pikemen. He insists he wasn't, and that it was his political enemies making up false charges. And right after Carly confirmed Jason's back in her life, he's a good guy, he's her best friend, she actually opened her mouth and told Brennan the FBI is investigating pikemen. So yeah, Carly gave Brennan huge information that is putting Jason at risk of very dire consequences. I mean, Valentine was already planning to kill him and blame Sonny, but this might escalate that plan, set that plan in stone, make sure it happens. Carly was talking about Jason in one breath and Cates in another. It's easy to see that Jason's charges all getting dropped so fast and so neatly was kind of suspect. And no doubt, I feel it was in part because he is an undercover FBI operative and Cates probably finagled some things. I'm just betting that Carly giving that information to Brennan is going to help him draw a line directly from Jason Morgan to FBI agent John Cates. And he and Valentine are going to figure out very quickly that that is who put Jason in pikemen. Because remember, Brennan and Valentine already had that thing. They know that a 3-letter organization planted him there. And now Carly just filled in the blank that they had. It was the worst thing for her to do. And when Brennan was walking away, he kind of whispered under his breath, "Good luck, Valentine." But I suspect Jack is going to let Valentine know and warn him neither of them want pikemen out of business and neither of them want the FBI in their business, because that is not good for any of them. So basically, Carly waltzed right into the middle of a situation that Jason was working on, that he had under control, and she basically blew it up. And as I predicted recently, Cates did have someone monitoring Jack Brennan's visitors, and he was immediately notified that Carly was there talking to the guy. And official GH spoilers say John Cates reams Jason about Carly by the end of this week, and he makes new threats. So Carly just made Jason a much higher priority for pikeman bosses to get rid of. That could get him killed. And she made him a bigger target for the FBI. And Jagger may decide that Jason is telling Carly confidential information, and that could land him in federal prison. And basically her too, for that matter. Once again, I want to make it clear, I know Carly is really trying to help Jason. She's doing it out of love. She's doing it out of concern, but she has no idea what's going on. She's out of her depth because Jason chose not to tell her. And the thing is, he didn't tell her because he was afraid she would go do something to make it worse. And she found a way to make it worse anyway by eavesdropping and going off half-cocked without the big picture of what's going on with Jason and Jagger. And of course, everything's going to be more difficult because now Jason has to do everything he was already doing to protect her. And then all this extra work because now she's on the radar of pikemen, Brennan, and Valentine, as well as the feds. And of course, Jason will do anything to protect Carly. But if she doesn't stop this, her actions could put him in prison or in the graveyard. How far will this go? And will she tell Jason the truth if he confronts her after his coming showdown with Jagger Cates? We'll see. Subscribe if you haven't, and please share your comments, and definitely come back soon. We are here talking General Hospital 7 days a week. And as always, I'm your host, Belinda from Soap Dirt.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.